From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode, we're getting started by introducing you to the woman who has spent the last 17 years as the executive producer of the NBA All-Star Gospel Celebration. Jane King has the latest news from the NASDAQ. And we pay a visit to Maven Space, a co-working event and social club specifically for women-owned businesses.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
We're getting started by introducing you to the woman who has spent the last 17 years as the executive producer of the NBA All-Star Gospel Celebration. The game is traditionally a male-dominated event, but her kickoff celebration is generally the most well-attended event of the entire All-Star weekend. Tomeka Holyfield shares the inspirational journey that led to her creation of a successful multi-level event production and strategic branding agency and how she became an expert storyteller. And she gives us a preview of what's in the works for this year's All-Star Weekend.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
It was a hard journey. So I like to tell people, they see the glitz and glamour and all the bells now, but I like to tell people, if you're going to go down the entrepreneur journey, you have to have tough skin. So mine was one of necessity. I knew that I needed to start a business because I had such passion for people. That's why I started the foundation some 26 years ago. And then I had this creative edge, and I wanted to tell stories. I'm a storyteller. I'm also a second chancer. You know, people say, where do you get your work ethic? I'm just a member of the club. I was given a second chance to do it right, get it right, and not let my mistakes that I made growing up in college define who I am. So that's what I am. I'm a second chancer. The number one thing is stop waiting on people to give you something or help you. I was dependent in my early part of my entrepreneur journey. As soon as someone said they would do something or help me, I put all my time or all my trust, 100% in that. And then when I didn't get the email back or the follow-up didn't back, it just crushed me. And so I had to learn how to balance my emotions. You have to learn how to balance yourself as an entrepreneur. So I had to learn no one owes you anything. You owe yourself. You have to create your opportunities. And then I had to let ego leave my body, meaning send the email again, call again, try again, do it again, because favor is in the again. You have to keep doing it and keep going. And so to have that concept and to take on that, you have to let self go. You can't be mad because they didn't call you back. And at the same time, you have to say, they don't owe me anything. And I think that took me the longest to take. So I went through a lot of ups and downs. But when I really got a hold to that, that's when the trajectory of my life began to change, because I began to take ownership. And so I would tell entrepreneurs, take ownership for what you want to do at the beginning. Don't go down this long journey like I did. So as an entrepreneur, you have to operate how you want to be, and that's the key. You might be that you're just having enough funds to keep your domain going, or to keep your LLC going, or to trademark, and you're barely getting by. But you have to make decisions as though you're 5 years down the line, and that's the tricky. How do I make decisions like I've arrived and I haven't? So you have to put in your mind, see yourself how you want to be. And so I start making decisions on what my company looked like 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And I made the decisions and stuck with it. And then I start believing, Tomeka, you can be successful too. We have to talk ourselves into our success. For one of my companies, we have 6 properties, and those are different platforms during NBA All-Star, the Oscars, the Grammys. So I decided to take one platform and kick off NBA All-Star weekend. And so as an African-American woman kicking off a male-dominated white sport, can you imagine? I had an uphill battle, like, wait, what are you doing? You're trying to do what? And so I remember year 1, 2, 3, 4, they were just trying to adjust to the fact of who is this person? And so I'm not kin to an NBA player. I'm not married to an NBA player. I'm just a a business owner. And so I had to survive a lot of things. I had to break down some stereotypes that they had. But I just stayed with the key of what I just told you. I saw myself. I saw myself at my 20th year. I saw myself at my 15th year, at my second year when everything was going wrong. And I felt I deserved to be on the platform. And I knew that what I had was good. That's why you have to do something you love. So we're kicking off. It's the 17th annual All-Star Gospel Celebration. And we kick off NBA All-Star Weekend. And so the weekend is the 16th through the 18th, but we kick it off on the 15th. And isn't this so apropos, at Madam C.J. Walker's theater. Here she was, the first female millionaire. Over almost 100 years ago, she had the concept of being a businesswoman. And so here I am, the only female producing an event in a male-dominated sports and having it at Madam C.J. Walker. I think that it's going to be so many stories told. It's just so nostalgic that 100 years later, I'm kind of almost living her legacy out of what we're doing. So we're excited. We have the hottest gospel artists, and we're honoring a lot of incredible people. Indiana's own Mike Epps and Kyra Epps, you know, they bought the block back in Indiana, the HGTV show. We're honoring legend Oscar Robertson, you know, and then we're honoring a 4-time NBA champion, his mom. So many stories are going to be told on that evening, just of how you can hope and dream again, that what these guys are doing off the court. And so we do stuff non-traditional. We tell stories non-traditionals, but that's been the story of me as a CEO. I had to go in the back door when the front door didn't open. I had to go in the back door, a window in the back door. Sometimes I had to pull off the roof to get what I needed, because that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. You have to think outside the box. You have to pivot. You have to reinvent yourself to be successful. And no matter what you do, just never give up. Do it again. My next 5 years, I'm going to slow down a little because I want a family. And so I have to balance that out. But don't worry, the family will be with their sleeves rolled up and in the trenches too. But the next 5 years, I see all the productions on TV, and we're sharing it so more people can watch. And I see me still telling stories. I'm a storyteller. And my life has been a hard journey. But I'm here to tell people, no matter how hard it is or how the odds are against you or the circumstances, that you can be successful. And if they can take from my mistakes and build, then that's what I want to do until I take my last breath, is just tell stories of incredible odds that you can survive if you just believe.
The 17th annual All-Star Gospel Celebration tips off the NBA All-Star Weekend, February 15th at the Madam C.J. Walker Theater. The Minority Business and Opportunity Weekend from the All-Star Weekend is February 16th, 17th, and 18th to celebrate black business startups, growth, and sustainability. And we're very proud to be part of this 3-day All-Star event and look forward to bringing you more information about how you can get involved. That'll be in the coming weeks. This is the segment each week in which we turn our attention to the financial aspects of your business. And every few weeks, we like to check in with market journalist Jane King to see what's happening on the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotations, or what we all call the NASDAQ.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Eli Lilly was once considered something of an also-ran in the pharmaceutical industry. The company, known for psychiatric drugs like Prozac, struggled to replace lost sales from patent expirations on some of its most profitable treatments in the early 2000s. And in fact, it pulled in less revenue in 2019 than it did in 2011. However, that has all changed. These days, Lilly is the world's most valuable drug maker after overtaking Johnson & Johnson last summer. Its $610 billion market capitalization makes it the 9th biggest company in the S&P 500, and it has America's obesity epidemic to thank. In November, U.S. regulators gave the green light for Lilly's Mounjaro diabetes drug to be used as an obesity treatment under the name Zepbound. And one bullish estimate says that Zepbound and Mounjaro could generate over $50 billion in peak annual sales. That compares to Lilly's total revenues of $28 billion for the entire year of 2022. While officials at the Terre Haute Casino Resort continue to fill hundreds of jobs ahead of the venue's opening this spring, WTWO-TV reports the casino is on pace to hire about 600 employees, up from the initial estimate of 500. Vice President and General Manager Michael Rich says about 200 people have been hired so far, and nearly all of the current job openings are available on the casino's website. Remaining jobs that haven't been listed will be posted in the next couple of weeks. Well, just over 200 Indiana students received state funding for job training in the first year of the state's Career Scholarship Accounts program. That's as lawmakers consider consider expanding the allowed uses for the money to include paying to get a driver's license. These accounts were the centerpiece of Republican lawmakers' plans to reinvent high school during the last legislative session and allowed students to access state funding for workforce training outside of their schools. Advocates said the law would open more doors for students whose schools didn't offer certain training programs, while critics say it lacked transparency and could affect funding for high schools, career, and technical education programs. State officials anticipate that 1,000 students in grades 10 through 12 would participate in the program during its first year. Well, Spirit Airlines shares plunged after a judge blocked the JetBlue merger. The ruling outlined several concerns, including increased fares for flyers, particularly for discount airlines, Spirit's customers, and significant debt for JetBlue. The Justice Department sued in March to halt that deal. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau expected to propose rules that further rein in banks' overdraft fees. Some of these fees run as high as $40, while banks have drastically cut back on overdraft fees in the past decade. The nation's biggest banks still bring in about $8 billion in overdraft fees every year. And Trump-linked stocks jumped after the former president's win in Iowa. Shares of Digital World Acquisition, that's the firm set to take former U.S. President Donald Trump's social media platform public, was up the day after the Iowa caucus, but the stock is down 93% over the past 12 months. And finally, the past week has been one of the big tests for how electric vehicles do in widespread cold weather. Turns out not so great. Some electric vehicle owners in Chicago were facing a handful of problems as they dealt with long lines at charging stations and reduced battery life. And a 2019 study of 5 EVs by AAA found cold temperatures can temporarily reduce the EV range by more than 40% when drivers use the interior heater. From the NASDAQ market site, I'm Jane King.
In order to run the business day to day, most need some kind of space dedicated to work. To that end, Leslie Bailey has created Maven Space, specifically designed for women business owners as a co-working, event venue, and social club. Here's more.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
My name is Leslie Bailey. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Indie Maven and Maven Space. So Maven Space is a co-working space and a social club and an event venue, but we focus on female entrepreneurs. And the concept spun off of my first company, which was Indie Maven, which is a media company for women in central Indiana. When I launched Indie Maven almost 5 years ago, it'll be October of 2019, that we just wanted to do more storytelling for women, seeing that gap in the market, that just feeling like women's stories and the ones we wanted to see told were not being told. And then through that evolution, realizing same thing, but in a physical sense. So where are women going to start businesses? That we started hearing those statistics during the pandemic. That first summer, women were starting more businesses. They were filing more trademarks than ever, and they were staying in the system longer than ever. And this was sort of before we were hearing Great Resignation, right? And so I heard that on a podcast interview with Rachel Rogers as an author and a podcast host, and thought, oh, right, women are going to go start businesses. They have been forever, but this is going to be the time where they're looking at, how do I manage family and keep this full-time job? Or maybe I got let go of my full-time job. And sort of that natural evolution of, well, you can do it so long at your kitchen table, but you don't have that level of support and networking and all the things that go into like a necessity for running your business. Looking at a space like Maven Space where women can come and get everything they need to get done in that day. So already, right, I threw my gym shoes in my bag so I can squeeze in a workout in our fitness center later. I've grabbed a juice that was made by a local Black woman-owned business in the cafe. I'm sitting here and doing this. I will get everything I need to really get done in my day today, but I'm also going to network when I'm going and getting a cup of coffee. I'm going to run into other business owners. So it's all built in one place where I'm not having to drive around the city or go pop up in a Starbucks somewhere. to get everything I need to get done. And that's pretty typical, I think, for most of the women here at Maven Space. You can sit here on any given day and find a graphic designer, an attorney, somebody to do your marketing. I mean, you sit here for a week and pretty much you're going to fill any business needs. But that's just as far as services go, let alone, sponsors, people, civic leaders who come in for events. So, I mean, you really plant yourself here, and I think it just also accelerates. I hesitate using the word, we are not an accelerator, but certainly by being in this presence, you're not only making your life easier, but then you're supporting women who are also in your network. And we do have a couple male members as well, so it's not just women, but yeah, it definitely makes it easier for you, but also easier for you to then support other business owners. Well, the projections for co-working as an industry in the next couple of years are huge, right? That's the new reality. People are working differently. I don't think offices traditionally are ever going to be the same again. And that's, again, not a blanket statement, but for the most part, you're just going to see more of this. And I think as we see jobs move even further into a gig economy where you're not going in a traditional office, but you still need somewhere that's not your kitchen table, where the dog needs walking and laundry needs doing. So I feel like the industry itself is just going to continue to grow. I'm excited to see more spaces in central Indiana popping up because the need is definitely there. And through some of our partnerships too, that we've been able to expand and get to, the demographic of entrepreneurs who really need this support and that have historically not received it. It's not just Maven Space, so we have relationships with different communities and other membership organizations like Create Connect Collab is one, as well as Indie Biz Pass. So we have 100 Black entrepreneurs right now who work in the space, as well as Speakeasy and P30. So they have access to all 3 co-working spaces. This is that first year that they're going through, but 96% of Indie Biz Pass members are women. Statistically, across the United States, Black women is the largest demographic of entrepreneurs, the fastest growing, rather. I think there's nearly 2.7 million Black women entrepreneurs. But historically, not getting the same support as far as financial support, networking, all those things we talked about today. So those partnerships are really important to me as well, not only to just expand our community here and what we're doing, but to make sure that the women who really need the support know what's available to them, whether that's partnerships that we have through various chambers or organizations like Indie Biz Pass and CCC. That's just to name a few, but also even the partnerships we have with sponsors. We have a great relationship with PNC. And so this year you'll be able to come and sit here and meet with a banker and make sure that you have the right documents and things that you need to maybe open a business account or even, fitness classes. We have a trainer who's going to be here on a more regular basis. So you can really have all the support you need holistically, personally and professionally to meet your goals.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, beoshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.